In 1999 and 2000, 5 people fell to their death on the Caminito walkway. It then became known as the most dangerous path in the world. The walkway was first constructed from 1901 to 1905, and it was mainly used for maintenance of a hydroelectric plant and the 2 falls that were used to generate that electricity. In 1921, the King of Spain came to the walkway for the inauguration of a dam and laid the cornerstone. From that event, it became known as the Caminito del Rey, translated to English, the King's Little Walk. From that early construction, the concrete eventually started falling apart and people still used the trail. That resulted in the deaths in 1999 and 2000. The path was closed for almost a decade while they rebuilt it, and it was reopened in 2015. I guess it was this notoriety that got my wife interested in doing the Caminito del Rey while we were doing a month-long stay in southern Spain in the Andalusia region. All right, that's all I got for the history lesson. This was kind of a last-minute thing for us when we were in southern Spain, so we didn't get the tickets in advance. And when we tried to get individual tickets, they weren't available. You had to buy a tour. We found that happened a lot in southern Spain. If you're trying to go to a museum, you might not be able to get individual tickets, but if you did a tour, then you could get in to see the museum or whatever the attraction was. So we did the tour, maybe 20 people in the tour. Kind of the downside of that is you're connected to that group. You don't go at your own pace. So it would have been nice to have been able to just do it with our group. It was my wife and I and my daughter and her boyfriend. And you do learn some things in the tour. They, give you more information than you otherwise would have received if you just walked it yourself. Before you get started on the tour, they had us all wear helmets, so they issued the helmets. And you're up over 100 meters. So if you fell, if your wife pushed you over the edge or something, the helmet's not going to do anything for you. If you fall off this, you're not going to survive. But I guess the helmets are for, small falling rocks that might hit you in the head. Anybody could do this walkway. As long as you can walk, you can do it. The only thing is if you have a fear of heights, this is definitely not the walk for you. But it's not challenging in any way other than, overcoming the fact that you're high up. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of this river. Can't roll my R's. My wife's a Spanish speaker, and so I'll insert her pronunciation.
Guadalhorce River.
But the river was really beautiful, a crazy color green. Apparently that's caused by limestone and dolomite. And you have a view of the river almost the whole time. I guess there's a couple places that you can start the hike, and we started from a restaurant and then entered that tunnel that you saw at the very beginning of the video. And depending on where you start, the length is a little bit different, but it's around 4.5 miles, and they estimate 4 to 5 hours to do the whole hike. So is this worth doing? I would say absolutely. The views are crazy, and where can you do a hike or walkway like this where you're 100 meters above the ground going through a canyon with a beautiful river below? It's not all that dangerous, assuming that the engineers did a good job of designing the new walkway and the workers did a good job of constructing the walkway. So you're just kind of relying on them. But it's not dangerous, and it's not very difficult to do either in terms of being strenuous. The next hike that we did, actually, I think, was a lot more dangerous, and that video will be coming up in just a second, so we'll transition to that. In terms of price, if you order your tickets online in advance, and maybe well in advance, I think you can get a ticket for 10 euros. And I think we paid about 18 euros each for the tour. Don't lean on it, Arissa. Jeez. I think the suspension footbridge here was my favorite part. Often video really doesn't give you a good indication of how high something is, but I think this video does pretty much. With the river below, it was just a spectacular view. It was pretty crazy, and it was windy when we went across this bridge right here. And what a drop. Wow.
Ich denke auch.
Ironically, I found this hike to be much more challenging than Caminito del Rey, and potentially more dangerous too. I mean, you weren't 100 meters up, so if you fell, you weren't going to kill yourself, but you could break an ankle. I mean, on some of these ledges, it was up to you to kind of keep your balance and not fall off, and you didn't have a lot of room to work with. Now, my pronunciation is horrible, so I'm going to insert here the name of the trail and the name of the river that we're walking along.
Cahorros de Monachil, Rio Monachil.
Thank you for that, Vicky. Sounds a lot cooler when you say it. This trail is in a national park in the province of Granada, and the great thing is it's free. We parked in a small little town near the trailhead, and there was a parking lot, a small lot, but we parked on the street and just walked a short distance to get to the trail. You'll be walking along the river until you get to the loop, so for quite a distance you'll be right along the river, and if you love water, you love the sound of rushing water, then you'll really like the first part of the trail. Based on how slow their progress was and how far they had to go, they had to be spending the night hanging onto this mountain. Signs were a little confusing to me, but the trail app that I was using said that the trail was about 4.5 miles and would take about 2.5 hours to complete. I think that's pretty much about what it was for us. There were a lot of little suspension bridges that were pretty cool, and a lot of flowers too. I think I saw a lot more, really beautiful flowers on this hike versus the Caminito del Rey. All right, here we're getting into what I thought was the more challenging part of the trail. Pretty tight, and I'm 6 foot tall. I don't think I'm too fat. Kind of hard for me to get along some of the ledges. I had a backpack, and so if my back was out over the river, I had the weight pulling me backwards, and then I'm carrying this camera on a stick, a GoPro, and so it was challenging, and getting down and crawling through some of these places, man, my knees were killing me by the time it was over. So for me, no question, this hike was much more challenging than the Caminito del Rey. Not even close. But as you'll see on the other, as you loop back, nowhere near as difficult as that area that we were going along the river where it was very narrow on that ledge. It has been a really beautiful hike. We're doing this on a Saturday, so there's a decent amount of people out here. I think if we had done this during a weekday, it's in May, the schools haven't let out yet, it wouldn't have been near as busy, but still not bad. It seems like a lot of people turned back at that halfway point and went back the way they came. I mean, I think the vistas are amazing this way. The hike itself is not, it's not challenging, but some really great vistas. But you're not along the river anymore. You can hear the river down there, but I did not want to go back the same way we came in. My knees had had enough punishment. So after you go halfway and you're starting to make loop your way back, it is much easier. You don't have all those difficult spots where you have to either get down on your knees or really suck it in and walk on a ledge. That was some of that was kind of hard, particularly with a backpack that gets in the way.
Oh, machete.
Seems like we're in the jungle. A little bit of mud. Whoa.
Oh man.
Okay, trail's up here, babe. It only seems like we're in Costa Rica. Looks like we made it. Okay. Up here a little ways, we'll be back on the, kind of took a little detour. Nice cold beer was a great way to cap off the day. Really enjoyed both of the hikes. They were very unique from each other. We love the region of Andalusia in the south of Spain. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.